All right, welcome back, guys. Hope everyone's doing well in day whatever the hell it is of quarantine. Today we have on our episode, latest episode of Get to Know You and Newbury Training Center Tech Team and Tipping Point Black Belts. We have both John Gutta and Claire North. So, guys, say hello.
How's it going, everybody?
So they're joining us obviously from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, during quarantine or quarantine or whatever you want to call it. And they're you guys are getting ready to open. Today is what is today? The 12th, whatever it is, May 12th, something like that.
13.
13th. Okay, there you go. May 13th. They're gonna get back to it in about a week or a little less than a week. So congratulations to you guys. I know you guys are excited.
Very excited. Very, very, very excited.
Yeah, yay Iowa power and yay Iowa top team. For those of you guys without, again, the whole purpose of this is to for all the Newbury Training Center students and also for all of our Chicago affiliates, for you guys to have the opportunity to get to know both John and Claire. So, John, how long have you been training? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get to Claire.
Sure. So I've been training since my 18th birthday. Just turned 18, and it was 2006. So whatever math that is. So now what's that? 14 years? Almost?
14 years. 14 years.
So like over the course of that, I started at the University of Iowa in Iowa City, and then I taught at Militants Fighting System for like 5 years throughout that, and then I opened up a gym in Cedar Rapids, Iowa for the last like 8 years, and so that's Tipping Point, and that's where I've been since then.
Claire, how about you? Tell our adoring fans about yourself.
Hello. I started training with John when we were both at the university. We went to the University of Iowa. He was the president of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club, and he was a purple belt. I was a white belt, and I started there. I've been training for like 8-ish years, not 8-9 years, something like that. And yeah, I pretty much moved with John.
So, So, for Claire, for you, what motivated you to get started training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Besides Taylor.
Yes, shout out Taylor Piaggi.
There you go.
She started with me. She was a purple belt. She like took me under her wing. Guys, upper belt, white belt under your wing. It's really, really important.
Yeah.
Anyway, what motivated me? So there was this moment where I was a beer cart girl, and I was a chemical engineering student. But in my summers, on the weekends, I was my high school job and it was my college job. I like was a beer cart girl on a golf course. It was so much fun. And I was like getting really good grades. I was making really good tips. It was really fun. And this like guy came up behind me and he was just drunk and he like put his arm around me. And I had this moment where I realized it doesn't matter how smart I am. If some drunk idiot who's like 140 pounds and nothing, I was like, but I don't know what to do from here. I should probably figure out what to do. And then I like kind of looked it up, read about jiu-jitsu, smaller person using a bigger person's momentum against them, heard about the club at the university. Rest is history.
There you go. How about you, John? Like, what motivated you to? Because how do I put this nicely? Based on what I've heard you say from before, you were a closet fat kid, correct?
Yeah.
Closet.
Closet. So it's kind of like two things. So like when I was I'm from the like Ultimate Fighter generation. So like there are a lot of people that really got into MMA and really got into jiu-jitsu during the like first season of the Ultimate Fighter. If you guys hadn't heard of it, like it's the reality show for the UFC, and it got on television. And so I saw that and I was like, man, I was about 300 pounds in high school. I had never really, yeah, you can show a picture. But I had never really played a sport before. I just like found a picture. One of my buddies from high school sent me a random picture. I don't have a lot of them.
Okay, this is worth it. So this is John with the red hair.
Oh, the ginger.
Yes, on that side.
So I was a big boy, and I was like, okay, I want to lose weight, and I like saw the Ultimate Fighter stuff, but it was super cool, and I was like, oh, like MMA sounds great, and then I'd lost a bunch of weight and without jiu-jitsu because I lived in a town I mean,
You
I
went from
lived
320 pounds to like 170 pounds.
in the course of like a year and a half or so, and I just like
Pretty
I didn't
significant weight loss.
I didn't really like work out. I just like
Quit eating.
dieted pretty hard. But I found the Ultimate Fighter and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I lived in a really like rural part of Iowa. Like I was in a town of 5,000 and I lived 20 miles away from that, like in the middle of a cornfield. So there wasn't really a feasible way for me to be able to like start training. But I was going to go to college. And so I part of my decision as to where I was going to go to college was like, okay, like I want to be able to train. Okay, the two things in MMA are jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. And the University of Iowa, the year before, they had some random like dental student start a club, and he was a blue belt he was a Gracie Baja blue belt, and that was the only place in Iowa like that had a jiu-jitsu club. And at the time, like there were probably like 2 or 3 purple belts in the entire state of Iowa, so there wasn't a lot of places to train, and so there was that. And I was equally interested in kickboxing, but there wasn't a real striking club at the university. I'm really like thankful for that, because otherwise I'd probably be doing MMA and have a lot of brain damage by now. So I like started training jiu-jitsu, and then here I am.
So, well, when was it that, you were first under Pedro Silviari when I first met you. I think that was in 07. I want to say it was 07 off the top of my head. And did I meet you back at Carlson's at FFC, or was that when you just you came up to see us when we were in Skokie? I forget.
So like originally my very, very first, like the first person that we were under was a guy named Josh Russell. He has a turtle.
That's right.
So he's like a Gracie Baja black belt from Canada. He had given the dental student his blue belt. And then one of the other guys who kind of came out of the woodwork, who was a blue belt as well, like had trained with a guy named Pedro Silveira. And then Pedro started coming up, and then I was under him. And then right around that time, I was dating a girl that lived in like downtown Chicago. And so like there wasn't a lot of different places to train in Iowa. And so I had gotten my blue belt. So I'd been training like a year and a half, and we house sat for like a week and a half. And so like that's when I went to like the original Carlson FFC, and then that's when I like drove up to see you.
Right. We were in Skokie at the time. Yeah, we were in Skokie at the time. I remember you walked in. You did come in with your ex-girlfriend, and you had no hair. You were completely shaved, like crew cutted and stuff. I think you were actually complete, like legit, just stubble. Yes. And yeah, it was. We were like, huh, all right. like that. That was my first impression. Like, oh. But man, I remember back then, you were still kicking everyone's butt and stuff. So just very impressed with how far you've gone.
Right here, that is like something that John says every single time that he gives like a visitor etiquette talk. He always talks about always expect to pay a drop-in, but he will never charge a drop-in because you never charged him a drop-in. And he was this kid who he talks about it all the time. He spent all of his money on the gas money to get to Chicago. He didn't have anything for you. And you like welcomed him in as a little skinny blue belt. And that was like, he always talks about that every time he gives our visitor etiquette talk.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really charged a mat fee ever. I think sometimes people press me all the time and say like, look, at least let me buy something and let me do this and stuff or whatever.
We tell our students to do that. Buy a t-shirt.
Yeah. Like for me, I'm just like, I don't even care. If you want to donate something, if you just want to go buy some like bleach or something real fast, I don't care. Like whatever, just
yeah.
Go, like, buy us like a whole bunch of TP or something like that. Just whatever. And now that stuff's going to cost like $50. You'd rather pay a mat fee you'd rather pay a mat fee at that point. But yeah, like it's like, I mean, I never really did to be, this isn't about me, but I just never really found any real reason to charge mat fees and stuff. Like people who want to train, train with you. And I'm glad that you sit there and have also carried that over to Iowa as well too, all Iowa style stuff. Yeah. Let's talk real fast. Let's change gears real quick, okay? The mustache, the mustache. this is probably what the third time I've seen you with it. Are you going to shave it off when quarantine's over, despite what Claire requests?
So like I was talking to my student base and I was like, okay, we can't train, so I'm a monkey that's here to amuse you. How am I going to amuse you? And I said a mustache, which I sometimes will do a like mustache for a tournament, here and there. But then I was like, okay, mustache and a mullet, and I'm still working on the mullet, but the mullet's going to happen. We get married in October, and I think I probably can't have a mullet for the wedding, and I probably can't have a mustache.
I'm gonna marry a smart one.
Smart
one.
But until then, I think I can get away with both because our love is deep, and so we'll see how it goes. I don't know. The mustache is starting to get annoying. Our barbershops are opening
horrifying. And horrifying.
Our barbershops are opening up next week, so
yes.
My barber's like he's like asked. So he's one of my students too, and he asked to trim my mustache. He's excited to do it, and so if it works and I can like eat, like it's kind of difficult for me to eat right now, but if I can eat successfully, then I'll keep it on for a little bit. I want once in my life to be able to do the curly cues at the end.
Guys, it's red.
So
I'm just saying right now, you look like a Ginger White Earp. So I mean, so if that's what you're going for,
we just
got it.
And I was like, I want to be Kurt Russell. That Kurt Russell.
Yeah, exactly. You are straight out of Tombstone. Straight out of Tombstone without a soul. I mean, that's exactly what you look like right now. But so let's talk about this. Like, let me ask, because I've always been asked this question too. What is your biggest accomplishment as an individual for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Both of you. It's a question for both.
Silver medal at Worlds by far. My silver medal at Worlds by far my biggest accomplishment. At Adult Worlds 2018. It was Worlds. It was my first tournament as a brown belt, and I moved up a weight class. I will just say that to middleweight. Usually I do lightweight, which is 41 with the gi. Middleweight 54 with the gi, because I was like, fucking, I'm not cutting in school. Like, whatever. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna do the best jiu-jitsu I can.
This is your last year of pharmacy school.
My last year of
finals
pharmacy
right
school.
before that.
I was about to move to Milwaukee. Like, I was like, I don't care. I'm not cutting weight. I'm gonna go out there and try to kill these people. And I did. That was pretty cool. I got killed in the finals. I got murdered in the finals. So that was not good. But being able to make it that far at like the biggest tournament in jiu-jitsu was really, 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 really cool.
I was there. You had just gotten your brown belt, and that was really amazing to see. It was really put it this way, it's just like, how sometimes when you just, I always tell people, and John, I'm sure you say very similar things. Once you sit there and if you're a competitor specifically, and you go into a new belt, you have nothing to lose. So just go sit there and fight and go for it. Stuff. And like and just to see that, I've been preaching that for years, and just to see that literally right there, you had just gotten. I remember. I want to say you got it in March of that year, right? 2018, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's March of 2018. I remember that, and then you went. It was like right after Pans, I think, or whatever it was. But anyways, you went and a couple months of training and stuff, and then you sat there and went to the Worlds, and you just got on a roll. You just got on a roll and started like murking everybody, and got to the finals, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but yeah, it's a great first tournament too, by the way, for a great first tournament. So yeah, now I'm glad I'm glad I got to see your favorite moment.
That's cool.
How about you, John? What's your favorite moment?
It's kind of a tough one. So
I'm sure you feel this way too, Mark, where you have like your favorite as a coach versus favorite as a competitor versus favorite, you know what I mean?
There's like so many.
I bet he's sorting through his. Okay, but you have to pick gun to your head, gut instinct.
So like the last 2 years I've won the absolute division at American Nationals at Master
cool.
1. So like that was a really cool like both times, especially the second time, like because there was a guy that beat me in my division who was the no-gi world champion at Masters, and he's like a very 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 good, and he had kind of smoked me in our division, and I like game planned, and I was able to beat him in the absolute, which is like was
Cool.
which was super cool. So that's pretty cool. I was like, okay, like 2 years in a row, like, you know, no-gi absolute, I'll take it. That was pretty cool.
No, but yeah, glad I was there for the second part as well too, sort of. Well, actually, I think it just landed. It was in it was in the air, but I did see the aftermath of that. I do remember the large amount of eating and
Yeah.
other things that we did after the second one. But to touch on what Claire said, it's very true though, because when people ask me that exact same question, you have to kind of you're almost kind of trying to. Number one, you sort it out. You have it like, okay, favorite moment as a coach, favorite moment as a competitor, favorite moment in the gym as just training, favorite moment doing this, so forth and so on. Lots of different favorite moments, and then now you're gonna weigh them amongst each other and stuff. So it's a very difficult. I get it. I completely understand it. It's like, John. One of the things I admire about you, and kind of also segueing right into this, is you pretty much very similar. You and I are very similar in the sense that we never really had any like formal instructor there to watch us on a day-to-day basis.
I was jiu-jitsu compared to you two. I was literally spoon-fed jiu-jitsu compared to what you guys got.
Yeah, for me, for John, for me, and again, this is a huge similarity between John and I. And probably one of the reasons why we get along so well together, and why we just literally just like operate the way that we do, pretty independently of each other, to be honest with you, and why I trust John a lot as well too. John, as far as I'm concerned, is hands down the number one Iowa born and bred black belt by far. I don't think it's a question. I will come fight me on that. Anybody it's unquestioned in my opinion. Like you're the unquestioned face of jiu-jitsu in Iowa, as far as I'm concerned. And you basically build it all by yourself through a collegiate club. And what people don't know, what people don't really know, especially the ones that like at Trinidad and stuff like that have never been to Iowa City when you were running it, is that was one of the biggest rooms I've ever seen. Whenever I walk in there,
you said that, yeah.
It was like huge. Number one, let's not talk about the sheer size of the damn thing, but also just the sheer amount of people in there. I would like to say that there was at least, okay, bare minimum, I think the smallest amount of number I've ever seen in there is like 50, honestly, probably 60. I'm just rounding down. Yeah. So it's like, like the smallest amount I've ever seen in there, the smallest amount. Now, the normal, I would say average, 80 plus, easy. Easy.
Absolutely. And then the times you only come down for a weekend, even bigger.
Yeah, even bigger. But every single time that I just like the random times and things like that and stuff, or just like normal weekday classes, on the average, 80 people, I would say. And it was just like, this is ridiculous. How did you build up a jiu-jitsu club in a college? Yeah, how did you do that? Everyone wants to know, trust me.
Yeah, I didn't start it. So I went into it, and it was interesting because it was pretty big when I got it. Like, it was.
I'm going to answer this question after you because I'm going to say how he did it. Go.
So when I started, it was a very, very big room, but it was like, the blind leading the blind. It was like a random blue belt, who got their blue belt some other place, and then this other random blue belt who got their blue belt some other place, and like, and then a room full of 40 or 50 white belts. And we had the benefit, so we're like, University of Iowa is like 30,000 students. And then being a part of this club, like somehow, like, so the mat space in general, like somebody somewhere, it started like as a judo club, like, or the reason that the like mat space exists is that it actually used to be the wrestling room, I guess. Like there were 2 rooms in there. I would say each room is approximately the size of the mat space at New Breed. It's a little wider, a little shorter.
Right.
And so it used to be like one big room, and that was the like Iowa wrestling room. But then they moved the Iowa wrestling room, and then they like cut it in half. And then somehow in the 80s, somebody had some money, and they were able to like completely mat it, and like then it was full of tatami for 2 full rooms. And then the Jiu-Jitsu club started, and I think we kind of had the benefit of like the Ultimate Fighter just came out, and then we had the opportunity to send out an email to 30,000 people at the beginning of each semester. So as a student organization, we could send out this email, and then we would get, you know, and we have no overhead, right? So I mean, so it's a university club. So any money that comes in is, you know, money that you can use to pay instructors, money that you can use for whatever. You don't have any rent or anything like that. So, you know, we would get, you know, and basically we were able to charge $100. And I mean, $100, you know, is, I charge way more than that a month, you know, where I'm now, because I have overhead and I have instructors to pay. But at the time, I mean, it's a bunch of college students. And so, you know, they would pay at the beginning of the semester, and then we would use that money to bring in instructors and stuff like that. And so it really just kind of blossomed from there. And it was, you know, it was a very unique thing, because usually like when you get new people in, you know, it's kind of, you have a separate program for them, and you get like a trickle of new people, you know, where this, it's kind of sink or swim right away, where we would have, you know, the first day of classes were insane. We would have 100 people.
Overwhelming. Like no one could roll at all. And you've seen how big our map that and no one could roll. But they, you know, only lasted 2 days, so it didn't really matter.
And then all the old people were kind of excited, because it was like all of these like young people, like all of these like brand new people, and usually people around the same age, and they were just so excited to like share, like even the like 2 or 3 stripe white belts, they were the, you know, experts to these guys, and we'd always like pair everybody up together. So it was like kind of cool, because you got to like, you know, even if you were a beginner, every 6 months you became you had a whole new crop of people that like you were worlds better than. And so I think it just created this really like cool
positive
atmosphere.
Reinforcement that a lot of times white belts don't get, you know,
because like you have this like entire new crop, and even if they don't stick with it, like they probably stick with it for a month or 2 months, like most of the people. And then, you know, then the people that have, you know, started the semester before, like get to actually use the moves that they've been learning the whole semester, and you know, it wasn't working, and then they were able to do it. So it kind of grew, you know, like that. And it was, you know, the negative of it is that we always had like all my good people left me, you know, so like
because they graduated,
get people to purple belt, and they were like badass purple belts, and then they would move, and then they, you know, it's like, so that was a really like heartbreaking.
You finally get these people where they don't suck anymore, and they move.
Yeah.
Like who? No, I'm just checking. Go ahead.
Yeah, you probably didn't even meet. I had a guy named Chris Burbank.
Yeah, he was right before Mark.
So he moved out to Yamasaki's in DC, and like he's a black belt out there, and like teaches classes. Like I had you know, a lot of folks like that, because like in a small college town, it's such a transient town. Everybody's like, you know, moving. But anyway, it kind of grew from there, and I like kind of quit. I like stayed in school, so I had a 4-year degree that took 6 years. I like went until they cut me off. Like I was getting some grants, and then I just like kind of ran it like a business. You know, I was like, this was the only thing I really cared about, and then I put everything, you know, all of my time and energy into growing it when it wasn't really making any money. I just thought it was like a really cool thing, and then you know, and then we have.
That's who I started dating, folks.
So, all right. So, Claire, you said you wanted the opportunity to answer that question for him as well, too. So
I think as a student, like, because, you know, I started out as the one that was like, we started training. I started training with him. And the reason that I kept coming back to his classes when there was literally like 90 other clubs I could have done, there was a ton of other things. He never missed class. He was extremely consistent. And he taught things that like, okay, if you came on Monday and Wednesday were as fun, you know, as those classes, he would teach the same thing, and then he would add to it. So you could like, as a white belt, you could continue to learn. I think the other thing was like, I don't know, you have a phrase, but he taught arm bars the same way. You know how there's like actually a million ways to do arm bars?
Right.
He taught it one way to every single person on the planet. And like as a white belt, you get this paralysis by analysis. Oh shoot, I know like 6 ways to armbar. I don't know which way I should armbar. And then you just don't armbar anyone ever. Well, I only ever knew one way to do things and it always worked. So that's what I did. You know what I mean? And then the other thing I would say was that like you did a really good job, like especially, and this might be like biased towards like a college town, but like I always felt like you really explained why it worked, not just like because I've been to other places, like we've traveled a lot to train, we visited 50 plus gyms, like, so I'm not saying this from a place of like bias, I'm saying this from like just from like seeing how a lot of different people coach. Like a lot of people will say like this works because like I said so. Not like, well, it works because like when you cut off their airway this way, then they have to turn, which makes you want to, you know, you do a really good job of that too, Mark. Like you'll be like, they want to turn because of this reason, you know, da 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 da. And I really like, I feel like coaches that explain that well, like keep students longer, you know?
I believe that too. It's like there's that whole trend in concepts, and it's almost blending like conceptual teaching and philosophical teaching, if you will. You know, not quite like overly burdening people with you know, with words and such, but honestly, it was just like physiology. If you can sit
Right.
there and explain why people are doing things in order to avoid getting their joints broken in a particular manner and stuff, you know, you can kind of like relate to like, well, that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
that person's going to turn that way because they don't want to go this way and get something broken. And yeah, it's like a lot of people are starting to teach that way right now. John, I do have to sit there. Sorry, one more time.
Yeah.
What was that, Claire? Sorry about that. We cut out.
Oh, John Donahauer, like, you know, he's a prime example of what you're saying.
Yeah, he's exactly. And it's like there's that big trend now to really educating people in terms of why a move really works. Now, again, you could be overly articulate about it, or you could just be like, if they go that way, they're dead. And people are like, okay. Like, you know, some people just gotcha, you know, but like there's that fine balance somewhere in between there. And John, you've been hitting that for, I will say this, I give you mad props and a lot of respect because that was one of the things I noticed from you from the get-go. And I will say this: I don't let I don't let a lot of people coach me, but John, you're one of them, 100%. Like for me, I always feel more comfortable when John is there coaching for me. I think that John, hands down, for the most part, and again, some people prefer to be coached particular ways and stuff. I think John, hands down, if you asked everyone on our team, doesn't matter what affiliation and so forth and so on. If you asked everyone, a vast majority, if a vast majority, would hands down pick John as, okay, if I could only have one voice, let it be John, 100%. And the best is John he conforms to what you need him for and stuff. So this is a good story that I'll share, like between John and I. This was the 2018 Worlds, I think it was. 2018 Worlds. It was against Laurence Marion. And I love Laurence. I really do like Laurence. I think he's a good guy, tough fighter, everything like that. And prior to that, I went in 1-1 against him. In the first match, I kind of, like, you know, I lost that first match. It was 2017 Worlds. And then I fought him at the Austin Open 2018. And then I fought him. The rubber match was at the Worlds. And I go to John. I'm like, John, it's going to be a tough match. And I know all the Soul Fighters guys and Marcos Alante, they're going to be like yelling and doing everything like that. And they're going to be like talking to the ref and doing all this. I'm like, John,
I hate that.
I need you to try to just every single time they talk, yell anything. I don't care what it is. Just yell anything. And John looks at me. He's like, I just want to let you know I'm good for one of those, a tournament. So like, he looked at me. He's just like, good for one. And I'm like, this is the one. This is probably the one. So, and I literally, if you go back and you watch that match, you will just see John out of his seat, just freaking out the whole damn time. I actually watched that match About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. And yeah, you could literally sit there and see him just going nuts in the background, just going, doing all this and stuff. But even despite that, John is, in my opinion, one of the people that I absolutely want. Sam is good for running interference. He's really, really good. John is perfect because he knows when to calm me down.
Yeah.
He absolutely always want to calm me down. As It's like, yeah, and I see that with you too. So, because Claire, I've tried to coach you too, and you'll look at me and the whole time, I'm like, I get all, I get a little fired up and stuff, and I got a little bit fired up. And Claire, you do not respond to my coaching very much at all, very much at all, because the whole time I'm like, go up, just like, yeah, and just saying inaudible words and just because I'm right there, right next to you, trying to kill that person too. But John is just like, no, you're fine and stuff like that. And he knows how to calm people down and knows exactly what they want. And I've always respected that about you, 100%. It's just like it's just something you have an absolute knack for, and I think it's a tool. I think it's a attribute that's completely underrated. Yeah. So kudos to you.
Especially guys, if you met him in person, like John is so calm. Like,
oh yeah.
18 feet long. Like, even if you roll with him, you're gonna feel like your jiu-jitsu is better than it is because he was playing with you. Truly, that is truly the case. But when he coaches, you all of a sudden turn this switch where you're this loud, confident, not that you're not confident, but you're very assertive when you coach in a way that, in the room, you're just a very friendly,
Yeah, I think, for me, it's when you're coaching,
Yeah, you should talk about that, your philosophy, how to.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Mark. So, I'm thinking about a lot of things. First is it depends on my student, and usually I have an idea as to how I usually know their game pretty well. I know their strengths, their weaknesses. And most of the time I feel most of the time people are more successful if they're able to take a breath, get into their game. Because I know that there was a period where I would get in a hurry and I would try to do things right away and then it wouldn't work. And then I would go for throw a Hail Mary on the first down of the whole, the whole thing, right?
Why not?
Why not? The first play didn't work. Well, okay, let's go for it. Otherwise nothing is ever going to work ever again. And so I that's what I really like to do with my guys. Okay, let's whatever, how are you going to start the match? That's always a question I ask because I want to have an idea. And then I want to be able to gauge and watch the other person and say, ooh, you're out of your element. Watch for this. That's something that I want to consider. And I usually want to slow them down. Part of what I'm saying is I'm going to just I'm watching the match and I'm going to say, this guy's going to try to do this. And you might be aware of it. Some of the people that I coach are aware of it already. But even if they are aware of it, then it puts a little bit of a question mark into the other guy's head. So I'm I'm trying to play the other opponent. I'm trying
he's going pendulum. He's going pendulum. Well, shit. He knows I'm going pendulum.
So I want to play the other opponent. I want to make sure that my competitor stays calm and stays smart. I want to play the ref.
The pendulum.
And then sometimes, depending on how good the other coach is, sometimes you have to play the other coach, and drown them out, or do something because anyway. So first thing is I want my person to be calm, and then I'm just gonna start to call out okay, this guy wants this, okay, and then I want to read what you're doing, and then let's wait a little bit, okay, let's go for it, and kind of go through the match, and then. I really try. I think one of the biggest problems that coaches have is they try to yell at the ref, right? There was something that would have scored points or scored an advantage. There's this tendency,
and they're how'd you not call that?
It's
what? That was obvious,
And so instead of you never want a combative relationship with the referee because you want to a lot of the times one of my Pedro used to tell me this. He was the thing about a referee is they have to ref for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
They have a shitty job. They're they're not really paying attention. They're thinking about what they have for dinner, so they're looking around. And
I do it. I ref.
The right? So the competitor, it's illegal for them to say anything.
They'll get a penalty as soon as you talk to the ref.
And so, like, you don't want to, like, wait till your person scores and then, like, bitch. You want to do, like, as the match is going, because you also, like, kind of can't as the coach. And, like, that creates an adversarial relationship versus, like, hey, I'm here and I have my team around me. Like, let's score the match. Oh, 2. We're happy.
Or,
this is
hey,
fun.
if you hold this position for 3 seconds, you'll get 3.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I do that all the time. That's like and I hear that from you guys too. I'll hear John just like, if you hold there for 2 more seconds, you're gonna score points. And then everyone's just looking at the ref. And the ref's just like, oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, no, 100%.
You won
And
that.
then you can,
Yeah.
and then sometimes, like, you know, like you like find the point of the ref, because sometimes you can convince them, like, oh, we're gonna get an advantage for this, and then they look at you and they're like,
Back off.
and then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, then I'm gonna, like, take a step back because you don't want to piss off the ref. Like that's gonna create a bad
Yeah.
situation where they may not give you something that's, like, questionable. Okay, like, I want to stay on the good terms with the ref, but I also want to like let them know that we have a bunch of people watching, so don't fuck up, you know. And then for the other competitor, I want to, like, be calling out what they need to do. And then especially when my person gets to a good position, it's like, okay, we're going to wait. Or if my person is up on points, sometimes, like, one of the biggest things that I see in a tournament match is that, like, we're up on points, and then it's like, okay, like, this is one of the number one things I say to people is, like, okay, he has to come to you, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then it gets you in your head, like, okay, all I have to do is be smart here. I can stall. I can, like, I don't have to put myself out
Yeah.
there. And that gets in the other person's head, like, I have to
shoot,
throw
I
some
do have
shit.
to go after
Like,
him because I'm down on points.
Right.
That's when you reach. That's when,
and then sometimes you can read the other coach, depending on how good the other coach is. Like, sometimes they're just screaming or whatever. Like, it doesn't. But then, like, so sometimes you can, like, drown them out. Like, you know, I had a lot of background in, like, theater and stuff like that, so I, like, can out loud people pretty well. But sometimes, like, the coaches, like, are a little beta. And so if you're talking, then they think that it's, like, not proper etiquette for them to talk. And it depends on, so you have to kind of read the coach too, because sometimes, like, if I talk and I notice that he wants to say something, but he's not saying it because he's waiting for me to finish, then I'll just keep making words, you know, so that he never has a chance, you know, get in there. So I guess that's like my strategy with that.
The only thing that because I apply very similar strategies. The only thing I try to do there too is I try to crack jokes and make fun of my own competitor sometimes, just to get everyone laughing. And, like, you know, because my competitor is already like the competitors at Niles, they already kind of know the way that I am and stuff, so I can because I'll crack jokes, very inappropriate jokes, in the middle of class, like during rolling and stuff, just to talk a little smack to them, so forth and so on. So when I do that in a competition like at the Chicago Open, everyone's like, "Did he just say that to his student?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I don't care. I do not care at all. He knows exactly what he's doing and stuff." So let's go to this. How important? Here's a different question. So, how important do you feel that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is to the development of someone's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skill?
1,000% important. Like, guys.
And why?
Yeah, I mean, so guys, imagine how hard you would have read a book, or that's a bad example. Like you don't know how well you know something until you're tested on it. And, like, we can wrestle with our friends and we can, like, joke around, but the second that you put, like, okay, what if somebody who is your same size, your same gender, your same belt?
Can I pause you for one split second? Is that Ruby snoring in the background?
Yes, I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
That is awesome. That is awesome. No,
Yes.
it's okay. Let her sleep. Let her sleep. Let her sleep. That's Ruby for everyone. That is Ruby. That is a English bulldog. English bulldog.
He's 4 months old. English bulldog, 4 months old.
It's okay. I've had many of them. I have one. Yeah, like it's just I could just hear Ruby in the background. I was just like, those last 3 were like really loud, and I just needed to be like, that's got to be Ruby. That's got to be Ruby. I'm like,
Her over here. She's a little quieter.
no, like no one's, no, it's fine. It doesn't matter. But no one's phone is like blowing up that much. So I was just like, whoa.
like basically puppy dead. Like she's fine.
Anyways, I'm so sorry for interrupting you, Claire.
No,
Go,
you're
go for it.
good.
Go for it. Go for it.
Um,
I just needed to point that out.
So competing for your jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
other thing too, guys, is like I would not like guys, you know, if you're trying to be Kevin Duarte or like if you're trying to be Leandro Lowe, okay, you know you're in that category. So then you have to compete anyway, right? So you know you're trying to be the best in the world, whatever. Okay. Everyone else, guys, it's not don't look at competing as if though it's, and this is, I'm preaching to the choir here because I need to tell myself this too, but don't look at it as if though like if you lose, it means that you're like somehow like shouldn't be in the sport or you have this imposter syndrome or like, don't look at it like that. Look at it like, whoa, that's like a hole in my game that I didn't even know existed. I got bread cutter choked one time at White Belt Worlds, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even know that was a move that was on this planet that existed, and now I know. And I have never been caught with this since White Belt, hand to Christ. But you know what I'm saying? Like, guys, look at it as opportunities of like, it's like a pulse check. Okay, how we doing? You know what I mean? Like, how's my jiu-jitsu compared to people my age, weight, gender, skill? How am I doing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you find, and I as a coach, like the people that compete consistently on average progress so much faster. And it's not like
because you're honest with yourself.
I don't really care that much if you win medals or not. That isn't that big of a deal
Yeah.
to me. It does help me. It's like a benchmark for me. Like, especially if I have like a 50-year-old 140-pound person, it's like I don't have a lot to compare them to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't have a lot of, so like that is a little bit of a different standard than, a 25-year-old 180-pound person.
Yeah.
It's like so it gives me a little bit better of a like, okay, especially for my folks that don't have training partners their age, weight, skill level, so especially for my like older folks and especially for my like female grapplers, it like gives me a better benchmark because like sometimes like especially if they're a lot smaller than me, I'm fat, so like I typically like give my students a lot of room to play, so when I roll, and then I like sometimes if I give a little bit, people like feel like a world champion, but like they it can be kind of a little bit harder to gauge when it's much better to like watch them compete and watch them against their peers, because then I'm like, oh, okay, like they are able to get away with this, or okay, like this, they're able to make this work when it maybe wouldn't work against me, but that doesn't mean that the move won't work. It just but I feel like over the years, like on average, people that compete just get better so much faster that it's I really
it's
like to
fun.
encourage it.
I mean, guys, we just told you about our two biggest accomplishments in jiu-jitsu, and Mark told you he was there. Like, guys, we are all in this together, and we are all like at these big things together, and you guys, we're having like some of the coolest moments. I mean, winning this stuff is so cool, and to be there like with your best friends, like it's not just competing. It's like it's cool.
Yeah, I 110% agree with you. I love competing. There's so many aspects. There's so many. I know, right? I know. I compete like once a year, something like that. But like, there's so many aspects about competing that are so much fun, and it's like, first off, it's almost like an addiction in a sense that there's nothing that can basically sit there and simulate.
No. Nothing.
Competing. Nothing. And quite frankly, the second that you run out there and they say combate or they say fight, whatever tournament it is, all that other stuff goes away. It's just another match. It's just basically a sparring round that counts. It's like a sparring round that counts where the loser has to sit there and buy tacos for everybody or something like that. But like up until that point, that to me is like the really addicting part, that kind of almost anxiety that you build up for months, weeks on end. That's always there. That like if you have a goal, you set a goal and you sit there and you try to attain it. You do everything you can. You prepare for it a certain way, and that to me is what I personally am addicted to in terms of competing. If there was an addiction portion to it, but I find it so much fun. It's just so much fun. Like especially in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because where else can you sit there and go try to kill each other, and then afterwards it doesn't really matter. We're gonna eat tacos. We're gonna find a good steak if we're in Vegas. We're gonna drink some adult beverages and and have a good time and stuff.
Like because I feel like for me it's like that is the worst part for me. Like that's the like when the ref says like when I have to step out on the mat, especially for the first time that day, that is literally the worst feeling I have. Like it's terrifying. Even now, I hate it, and I pretend I like underplay it in my head. So like if you guys ever watch me compete, I like basically like sit like my version of warming up is like
he
sitting,
doesn't warm up,
leaning forward,
he sits cross-legged in the
like
corner.
looking at my phone, like because I want like if I were to hype myself up, I would go fucking nuts. I can't be hyped. I don't underplay it, and I have to be like, and in my head I'm like, okay, well I like to train really hard, and I train really hard in the room, and that's gonna get me through. And I can't if I hype myself up for a match. Oh man, I'm gonna like have a panic attack.
It's funny you mentioned that because it wasn't like a scouting report per se, but someone always asked me is just like, okay, so what's John's game? I'm like, watch, he's gonna get the shit kicked out of him for about 2.5, 3 minutes. He just needs to survive. He just needs to survive. If he does, he will win. Like he will absolutely win. He'll get his bag taken. He'll get like thrown on his face. He'll get his bag taken. He'll get caught in some random choke, but he'll survive. And if he survives, he will win. Just wait.
You know how anxiety that is for a significant other? I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm like, well, hope you don't die because it looks like you're going to.
Well, the whole time is like that. Like I don't even count time. I basically don't like, I remember coaching John a couple times where it was just like, just yell the timeout. Because right around the 2:33 minute mark, he'll snap out of it and he'll just take over. He's warm now.
If you don't tap me in the first 2 minutes, I'm probably gonna do okay.
Yeah. No, you usually do. That's the funny thing. It's just like, okay. And that's why I was just, I remember some matches, John would be like, okay, so what do you think? I'm just like, don't get killed in the first 2 minutes. Just don't do too much. Let's just kind of like keep it like right here. And after that, just go nuts, go crazy. You'll be all right and stuff like that. But it's funny because it's funny that you're the exact opposite of me, where I need to come out balls firing, just going crazy and stuff. And then at that point, like that first 30 seconds, I need to win the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
If I win the first 30 seconds, I'll be okay. Like I go balls to the wall that first 30 seconds, and even it could just be just great fighting, and just me stopping you from what you want to do. And at that point, it's just like, okay, got it. I'll be all right the rest of the way and stuff. So but in contrast, then you see Claire, who's nervous all the time. And then you see Claire go out there and just murder somebody.
Yeah.
Like immediately. Like they're dead. Like they go there, they're dead.
That anxiety beforehand, like is terrible. And I feel it like a billion times. But somehow, for whatever reason, when I as soon as they like tell you to bow on, like, it's like everything goes quiet.
Right.
And it's just this really like peaceful, like, wow, this is like, I'm going to murder her. Like, it's all I'm thinking is she's going to die. And it's just very, and they usually do. So that helps,
So I will say this, it's funny because every single time I come to visit you guys in Iowa, of course, like every time I go to go visit and stuff, I know that people are going to come at me and bring their A game, and let's just go. And it's fun. I love it. I love it to death. One of the people who always scare me is Claire, because Claire tries to kill me like it's
really. That's funny that you think that.
You always do. It like freaks me out. I'm just like, oh, she's going to try to hurt me. Like, other than Mike Sim,
you're not the only one, Mark. You're not the only one.
Well, so I would say Claire is a very close second to Mike Sim in terms of number of teeth The number of teeth that have been chipped by one person for various I've sit there. You'll see me licking my lips going with Claire, and it's not something inappropriate. It is me trying to get rid of all the tooth chips and just swallow it because I don't want to spit it on the mats and stuff like that. Like it's
lasso. Oh, I'm just putting in the
yeah, like that. Here's the that's hold on. Let me take care of that little chip. Let's keep going. But I and it's funny because you know, I mean, well, Claire, let me ask you this, because you've been competing for, you know, I mean, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, you're one of the best competitors in the Midwest, 100%. Like you haven't had the chance to compete as often as you'd like, of course.
I need to
What's that?
way more. I need to compete way more.
Well, I mean, trust me, I've had many conversations with John trying to get you on Fight to Win, but you know, someone hasn't said me.
I have a job now, so it's different.
But then
Oh.
quarantine makes it tough. We had like so many
Quarantine
stuff, and then like quarantine happened, and we're like,
I got refunded 3 tournaments from IBJJF.
Yeah, I got refunded like 4.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous. But anyways, let's move along. I think you're one of the best female competitors in the Midwest, hands down. You haven't had a chance, and that's the funny thing is that you haven't had a chance to compete a lot or very often within the past couple of years and stuff. But in the training room, I always find you as some of the best training and then there's stuff. But it's partly because you want to kill me. But it's also because like you're extremely technical. So let me ask you this. As a female, especially going with like a whole bunch of the good, a lot of the competitors, quite frankly, and a lot of the best guys that Iowa has to offer, that Tipping Point and Breaking Point and Citadel has, which are the other Iowa affiliates as well as the other ones as well too. Let me ask you this. How difficult is it for you to find, number one, good training partners? Number two, how often do you find it, like, you know, how are people training with you, and how do you feel that they should be training with you? What do you prefer? Because I know that the reason why I asked that is because when I roll with you, you go hard in the paint. Like you are like rolling with Mikey and Mikey, my daughter, and Mikey wants to kill me every single freaking time. And if she wasn't 4'11", she's really 5 foot, but she'll get pissed off when she hears this. But if she wasn't 4'11", she might actually do something to me. But whenever I roll with you, like you are on par with some of the best females that I've ever rolled with. So my question to you is, how do you deal with someone who doesn't know how to roll with a female, someone who does know how to roll with a female, or someone who has to sit there and basically thinks that you are 260 pounds of 6'7", like D1 athlete?
Well, thank you. That was really nice, Mark. But I think, part of the reason that you and I can have, like, John uses the term chess matches, like the reason, anybody that's, an upper belt, I would say like brown, purple, upper purple, brown belt and above, I never really have to like explain this or answer this question to, because we're playing chess. Right. So like you are extremely good at we are mashing like technique for technique. We are like reacting, but not in a way that's aggressive. It's in a way that's technical. It's like you're countering my moves. I'm responding. It's a very, very, nuanced game that we play. So that's, we have really, really fun rules. It's awesome. Right. But I think that part of it is that, especially people like Iowa is there's not a lot of females. And I think, there's not a lot of females in the sport period, but you guys probably have like a little bit more, but especially if you're newer and you've never rolled with a girl. And the only time you've ever been in a position where you were like close enough to do that, you weren't wearing gis. You know what I mean? That's like, it's definitely awkward. Like I'm not going to pretend like it's not the first time you ever do it. I would say treat me or anybody that's, a good female grappler or whatever that's smaller than you. Imagine that they were not a girl. Imagine that they were Jace. Jace is my like counterpart. He's a black belt. He's my same size. He's, you know what I mean? Just imagine that it was still somebody that was smaller than you, that was a dude, that was probably a little weaker than you. and just like go from there. Literally don't make it any different, guys. If you have a closed guard opening and something, your hand falls in a weird position, like say sorry, don't make eye contact, move on. Do not obsess about it. Don't freak out. Don't completely abandon the position. Like just roll and move on. But also I do want to say, like, sometimes I think guys get in this idea where it's like, oh, it's a girl, so I'm going to go super, super light. And then I start to do well. And then they freak out in the other direction. And it's like, whoa, I'm not like, you didn't need to treat me like a child, but then you didn't need to react like I'm like an NFL player.
Right.
You know, so sometimes there's this like a little bit of an overreaction. So just like consistently treat me as if though I was like a dude that was my exact same everything, and roll with me. Like try to play chess with me, try to react, counteract, you know, especially if you're a lot bigger. I would say that that's my advice. John,
Yeah.
how would you roll with smaller girls? Like, how would you say that you, like, if you go to another gym, what would you say?
When I roll, I mean, like, I kind of feel the same way. It's like, you know, it's like
You guys are black belts now. You can call out your own partners. I'm just saying. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Great.
I feel like gender doesn't really matter too much with that. It's like, okay, if I have a 130-pound human, like, I'm going to play chess with a 130-pound human because I'm a 200-pound human.
Yeah.
And like, if I don't play chess with them, I'm wasting their role and I'm wasting my role, because like I could stop, like, love you, Claire, but Claire's 140 pounds. I could stop her from doing anything, you know, like,
because he's a black belt, he's been training a lot longer than me,
and I'm way stronger.
Yeah.
Like, what I want to do is like engage her in those positions, like be able to be loose enough. Like, I want her to do stuff to me, and then I want to deal with the stuff that she's doing. Because in theory, I could just grab her legs, smash them together, and run around, right? And if I was 140 pounds, I would not be able to do that to Claire.
No.
And so like I think that it's really, really important, especially for bigger guys. Like, this is, I always am yelling at my big guys. My big guys are the number one people that I yell at all the time, because in order for them to get better, they need to be able to play chess with everybody in the room. They should be able to. Now, you know, like, I also am like, I honestly, like, I tell most of my, like, you know, and Claire tells most of her, like, beginning smaller people, avoid the beginning big people.
Yeah.
Right. But like,
two brand new white belts that are that size different shouldn't roll.
Yes. Oh yeah. I completely agree.
No way.
But once you get up to purple and brown, like you should be developing the skill where you're able to say, okay, I know that I can Incredible Hulk my way out of this. Like, I know that I can whatever. And in a tournament match, fine, I'll do it. But in the room, like I am going to play chess with this person. And honestly, like, I find that when I compete, especially in the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of absolutes, and I'll get like featherweights that I roll with. And I'm used to rolling with Jace and Claire, who, you know, Jace is, usually competes at featherweight, so 154, and Claire usually competes at lightweight, 141. And I see these like featherweights, and I'm like, okay, well, they could be tough. They could be really tough. I'm used to Claire and Jace. Like, okay, they could be tough. And then it's like, when I'm competing, I'm like, I don't care about your safety. I'm gonna fall on you. I like don't give a fuck. And then I'm like, oh shit, I can suplex.
I'm glad he cares about my safety.
You know, but it's like, because I'm able to do that, because I'm able to get to good positions, and I'm able to out jiu-jitsu them, so that I'm able to use a lot of strength and like be able to quickly finish them. Whereas like, I will never do that in the room versus Claire and Jace, because it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of your time.
To add on to that, you know, which both phenomenal answers. To add on to that, I think it's so important to understand that the biggest thing that obviously bigger jiu-jitsu practitioners, the bigger partners have versus smaller ones, is that you have that hunkering strength, that hunkering pressure, and grip strength. For the most part, you should have grip strength over them. Those are the two biggest advantages, and should be.
I have better grip strength than John. Mark.
Well, that's because of the well. John plays everything like no-gi, but you do have really good grip strength, and plus also John's hand, which he's got an out. You're welcome. You're welcome. But like for me, whenever I sit there and I go with smaller individuals, um, like number one, I let them move. Like you got to let them move. There's no reason to hunker down and drop. If you're 200 pounds, there's no reason to drop 200 pounds on someone who weighs less than you, like who weighs less, like significantly less than you, whether it be 40 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever the heck it is and stuff like that. There's no reason to do that. You're not doing jujitsu. You are literally just basically doing some sort of strongman competition.
Right.
And the other thing that I try to do, I feel that I have fairly good grip strength. You know, again, you have dad strength and stuff like that. As soon as that kicks in, right, that old man strength, it gets multiplied times every kid. So I have 3 times the normal old man strength, as far as I'm concerned. But it's scientific fact. But the way that I look at it is that, like, I will sit there and play grips with someone, but if they break the grip correctly, it doesn't matter if they're not. I could go with someone who's 115 pounds, but if they're using the appropriate technique to break the grip correctly, I will let go.
Yes.
They've earned it. They've earned it. And the second I let go, I know that they're going to move a certain way. And there's a certain speed that I know that they're going to move. And I try to match that speed, which is why, as scary as it is to roll with Claire, because I look at Claire and she wants to take my freaking head off, I do like rolling with Claire too. But at the same time, my teeth don't like, but like, I try to numb it up as fast as possible after the fact. We had, to be in all fairness to you, you have not knocked out any portion of my teeth for a good a year and a half, 2 years. Prior to then, yeah, exactly. There was a lot of improvement, but prior to then, it was, so there was sometimes like, oh, I'm gonna get kicked in the face, I'm gonna get an elbow, I'm gonna get this, and just deal with it and stuff. But it's okay. It's all right. I've come to accept that. It's all good. So let's start wrapping this up a little bit. I think we've gone for an hour. So this is ridiculous. But so let's start wrapping this up a little bit. If there was one thing, ladies first, that you could want by the way, I completely neglected to mention this, by the way, in the beginning of this whole thing. And I usually do it right off the bat when I sit there and introduce you guys. John is a first degree black belt. He's got his black belt in June of 2016.
Damn.
So June of 2016. Claire, you got yours in November of last year. It was November, right? October. I'm saying November.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was October.
I don't remember, Mark.
You know better than
us.
Yeah,
October. It was October. It was yeah, because you were, yeah, it was October. I'm pretty sure. No. I'm sorry. Anna was our first tag team Midwest black belt. She was in November. So you got yours shortly thereafter.
Right after November.
Right after Anna,
Yeah.
who came down and visited. Thank you.
No,
Yes.
it was December because we pushed it back. We usually
Right.
push it back to December.
Yeah. So I did forget to mention all that. I really God, I usually say that right at the beginning. So my bad. All of the Niles in Chicago is my bad. So moving on to my question, because we do got to wrap this up sooner or later. Otherwise we could talk for a while. John, what is your biggest advice? Maybe 1 to 2 things that you could sit there and say to the guys in Niles. Doesn't matter what belt level. Well, say something for like the white belts, the newer guys, and then say something for the older belts and stuff.
Okay.
Or you can pass to Claire first and let her answer, and you can answer that first, and then come back to you.
I would say, like, for me, so like I was not an athlete, and I was not like I heard jokes about this. Like I was explaining like I said, guys, like, so I was 300 pounds. I lost a bunch of weight. And then I was like 170 pounds, but I was like Bambi, right? I'd never moved my body before. So when I started jiu-jitsu, I was not a world beater by any stretch of the imagination. I was not even like somebody that the coach would be like, ooh, we got this guy in, like, ooh, he's going to be a killer. Right. Like, and I think like, when you're first starting out, you really can't take like losing personally. It's like it's pretty objective. It's like, okay, I just don't know enough. And if somebody, even if I know more than somebody, like I have to be able to know enough to be able to beat their physical attributes. Like I need more jiu-jitsu, right? The solution to every problem is I need more jiu-jitsu. This isn't like like an indictment on like me as a person or anything like that. I just like, okay, I just need to come to more classes.
Mhm.
And the people that take that approach, I feel like have so much more success. And then along with that, for newer folks, almost always, and even for me, right? So when I first started, there were blue belts teaching the class, and it was a room full of white belts. When you like being a black belt or being the best guy in the room doesn't happen because you like slingshot your way there. It happens because you stay really consistent. You train every day. You train as much as you can. And then the other people kind of fall off, right? So then like, just because I'm training, I train 7 days a week, right? Or, honestly, for me, it was like the first 6 months I trained 3 or 4 times a week. And then after that, it started to be 5 times a week, probably for the next 6 months. And then after that, I basically trained every day or twice a day, some days for the last 13 years, except for quarantine. And eventually you will outpace them. Eventually they will take breaks. Eventually they will do whatever. And if you're just like Thomas the training your way through that stuff, where you're just like, I'm just going to, or the chugga choo choo, I don't know. Anyway, the train that doesn't quit, like you just like go slow and steady. Like that's how you become the best person in the room. And then eventually other people quit training. And then when they come back, you've been training and they haven't. And eventually you overtake them. Like that's how you get better. And that's my suggestion is like, guys, it's a jiu-jitsu has a shitty learning curve and you get smashed during that learning curve. But then if you just stay after it, you've decided this is something you really enjoy, you get great exercise, you develop a great social network. If you just stick with it, like eventually those results will come. It's really hard to stay bad at jiu-jitsu and train every day.
Yeah. So my advice would be to like, is very plays off that, which is like, don't make excuses to miss jiu-jitsu, make excuses to be at jiu-jitsu. Like, guys, it's something that if you guys
find that in your
sorry, 1 sec.
Siri like that answer.
I think if you guys come like sometimes jiu-jitsu sucks, guys. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you're hurt. Sometimes whatever. You know what? I mean, okay, I've torn both ACLs. So I feel like I could pretty well firmly stand on a leg that says you can figure out how to train. I tore my ACL beginning of blue belt. I went to class every single day and just did warm-ups. And I watched and I learned, and you know what? And I mean, everybody's situation is different, but like if you make excuses to be there instead of excuses to miss, you can't help but get better, just objectively. And I would say that's especially like by the time you get to an upper belt, you've probably learned that lesson. So then I would say as an upper belt, like, so that's for my newer people. For my upper belts, I would definitely say like, this is going to sound silly, but don't underestimate the value of warm-ups. As in, don't underestimate the power of doing the things that suck because they suck. Like, you still have to drill. You still have to compete. You still have to try and you still have to care. Like, there's this like sentence of like apathy sometimes that gets in the upper belt where you're like, oh, I just go to like open man, I just watch. Like, lame. Train. It sucks sometimes, but guys, like, because all of a sudden you start to do that enough times and then like it gets real hard the first time you come back from that. Like, guys, continuing to care is going to make it easier in the long run to keep caring.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, Mark, I can't hear you.
We lost you, Mark.
Sorry about that. My bad. Sorry about that. Accidentally hit mute. My bad. So follow-up question real fast then to Claire. What advice or add-on question, what advice would you give to females that are starting out in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Just like if you could say one thing. And number two, females that are having issues, I guess for lack of better terms, maybe they don't have enough. They're getting overwhelmed in the sense that they don't have the ability to train with other females, or basically they're in a situation where they can only train with males. Then they're feeling, I guess, the physical differences, if you will, if there are any and stuff. So what advice would you have for females in that regard?
Okay, one, I will say I feel you. Because, guys, Taylor, thank God for you. You took me under your wing, but it was just the two of us. And then when you left, it was pretty much just me, other than brand new first day white belts. Like, I have had my girls, don't get me wrong, they have, but guys, I think we all can objectively say that I like haven't had like a really, I've been the best female at the club for a minute. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I just mean that in like a kind of just, that's.
It's true. It is what it is, yeah.
And like new girls, guys, first off, I would tell you that you are stronger than you think you are. A lot of times the guys feel a lot stronger because they're more confident touching bodies and they've wrestled and whatever. Guys, when you get over, or girls, when you get over that like touch barrier, when you get over that like initial physical contact and the idea of being aggressive as not masculine, but as something that's just innate to humans. And it's weird. It's totally weird between the genders. That's super, super weird. But guys, when you do, you'll realize that like on a 140-pound dude and a 140-pound girl, there is no difference in strength. Like if you're both equally untrained and you're both, same physical skill set or whatever, your body types are the same. There is no inherent stronger dude. Like that is a myth. That is totally a myth. Girls, keep with it. You will get stronger than you think you will. And then girls that have trained for a long time, like, and you don't have a lot of training partners, guys, I will say I have been extremely lucky because it's a boys club. Objectively, it's a boys club. And I have always been with somebody, who's, I dated the coach for the majority of my career. I had somebody that was a very influential person in the gym. Like he owned the gym. So I have like had an extremely different experience than other girls in my situation. So I will acknowledge that like privilege that I've had, that I've always had a very like friendly training environment pretty much all the time. John has always been very encouraging of that. But guys, I would like, if you don't have that, maybe start to look around a little bit. Like your training will be worth it. You're going to spend enough time at this place. If you want to get good, it's really good to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Look for the places where girls are training, talk to the people, see how they roll. It's worth looking at other gyms. And the other thing I will say is, guys, find a buddy. Like, use the buddy system. Find somebody that's your size, guy or girl, doesn't matter. Quit placing so much emphasis on gender. Jace is my maid of honor at my wedding. He's my same size. He's a black belt with me. We became buddies and we like worked up the ranks together. And you know what? He's a boy. Like, guys, find a good training buddy. Find somebody that loves the sport as much as you do, and it will seriously take you light years.
Jace also loves America a lot.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so let's start. Let's start ending this with some quick fire questions. What is the one thing? What is your favorite moment that involves me? Maybe whether it could be anything that I did, you did.
You coached hands. You went out with me and Taylor, and you coached us, and you were like, "Of course I'm going to be there." Like right away, you were like, "Oh, when are you going?" I was like, "Oh, that's really smart," because John couldn't go because he couldn't get the time off work, and you went, and you were like, when do I need to fly? I was.
Yeah, same for me. Like before I even joined the affiliation, Mark flew out to Worlds when I was a purple belt. There was like, he wasn't competing. He didn't really have anybody competing, and like Mark, you flew out to Worlds to like basically corner me. So that was like super cool.
Yeah, that was amazing.
You guys were always family to me and stuff. So for me, it was just like, it's secondhand nature. I'm like, what are my friends like? Let's go. What is my family? Let's go. So I'm surprised you guys didn't pull off any embarrassing stuff. All right. So true or false? True or false for John? Claire, you can back him up. Yes or no? Or you can contradict him, whichever way. You have never outdrank me.
I have never outdrank. True. I have never outdrank Mark. Okay. Mark drinks me under the table. Like, so guys, so for a long time, I like both taught jiu-jitsu and had a day job. And I like am pretty good at not calling in sick. And I think like of the times that I called in sick, they were almost all nights after Mark was there, and I called in drunk. I was still drunk the next morning because I was trying to keep up with him.
That's partly Claire's fault because Claire's the enabler and stuff like that. Just like, here, drink this. Which, by the way, if you did not catch a recent Instagram live with Kyle Watson and Jared Weiner and stuff. I don't know if you guys saw that. The first topic they talked about was you and I, John. The first exact thing, and it was about what happened at the 15 year. It was about what happened at the 15 year. And there was, they were talking because they saw me jump on. Saw me jump on the call. They're like, "Oh, nice, Vivas is here," and so forth and so on. Right there, like so they're talking about it. Just like, man, they started talking about the 15 year and how it was really cool and everything else. And then my feed cut out for a second. I jumped back on, and all I remember is Watson saying like, "I don't know how they can drink that much." And then they started commenting on how much can we drink and so forth and so on, and how Jared was just like, Mark got kind of emotional at the very end there, but like, man, I've never seen anybody drink like that before in my entire life. And John was just shot after shot after shot. And the whole time I'm sitting there commenting, I'm like, I know it's because of Claire, so don't worry. The whole time. So those are all good times. I have questions for you. John, did you ever find Claire's red shoes at the 10-year anniversary?
Yeah, I think we
Shame
did.
on you, Mark
I think we
Peters.
did. Like, so it's the 10-year anniversary, and we'd had plenty to drink, and
Mark does it up big. Like, it is the most fun, beautiful, cute. Everyone's dressed to the nines. It was great.
and we don't want to be rude, so we want to, drink
Contribute.
and have fun, right? Claire, doesn't want to be rude, and so I find Claire sitting in the coat rack.
It was
and,
warm.
I was like, okay, I guess it's time to go. So I take Claire out to the car, and I had plenty to drink too. We had a different driver. And then I get Claire out to the car, and I notice, so this is
It was
December.
an Uber driver, so he was mad at us,
No, this is Eldon.
Oh, it was Eldon.
But then Claire was like not wearing shoes, and I'm like, Claire, where are your shoes? And I have to go back in, and I do believe I found them. They were in the coat rack.
The only reason I bring that up is the only reason I bring that up is because I was in the front saying bye to everyone and so forth and so on, and I see John walk by, head down, just head down, walking past me, and I thought something's wrong, so I just so I stop him like, hey, what's wrong? It's just like I can't find Claire's shoes. And I swear I sent Lynn to go help you go find these shoes.
And
And
I remember very well.
and and literally I just see John just walking past me, and I'm like looking at him as I'm talking to all these other people, and I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I would literally go help you find shoes, but at the same time, I'm like, I gotta say bye to all these other people. So I'm yelling for people to go help you and stuff. And that's the last I saw of you that night. I was just like, so I've always wondered what happened to your shoes. That's all. Just saying, Claire. Just saying. Anyways, guys, this has been a lot of fun, like truly a lot of fun catching up. I really hope the guys at Newbury Training Center Niles and also the rest of the guys in the Chicago affiliates and anyone who's watching this learn more about both Claire and John. Congratulations to the you guys aren't the married couple just yet. October was it? I forget. I got the invite.
Hey, good.
I responded going.
Yay, good.
I responded going. But I like sometime in October, I know you guys will officially tie the knot and everything like that. And so great. Pre-COVID, congratulations to you guys. And through and during COVID, congratulations as well. But yeah, guys, this was a lot of fun. To everyone again at Niles and all the listeners, I hope you guys learned something. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for everything you guys have done as being the tip of the sword of the Newbury Training Center affiliates and also tag team affiliates, tag team family, and the rest of the Iowa tipping point affiliates rather, all out there and stuff like that. You are the tip of the sword. You guys are the tip of the sword out there, and the for lack of better terms, the power couple in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu out in Iowa. So congratulations. You guys do a great job. You always do. Can't be any happier and proud of you guys. So on that note, any last words? Just want to say bye to everyone.
Yeah, we definitely were looking forward to making it out to Niles sometime soon, when we're able to train again. And we're really excited. If you guys haven't, met us, take this as our introduction.
Yeah,
So
come visit us.
Come up, say hi. You know, when we're there, like train with us. If you guys ever want to come to Iowa,
We already told you we don't charge a bad fee.
We always say this for ridiculous. You know, like if you're ever in Iowa, you know, you're more than welcome to stop in. But if you want to make the trip to Iowa, you know, we'd love to have you. You know, either way, we're really, really excited to, you know, be a part of the team. And, you know, guys, you know, I know this is a tough time, but, you know, once we get back to normal, we're really, really excited to meet all you guys and train with all the Niles folks. So, you know, keep grinding. You have an awesome coach. You know, I've met a lot of people over the years and trained with a lot of people over the years. And, you know, I chose to be affiliated with Mark for a very, very good reason. So you have an excellent, excellent coach, somebody that I look up to a lot, knows a ton of jiu-jitsu and is an awesome person. So, you know, take a lot of pride in where you train, and you know, you got a great leader.
Thank you for that, John. Appreciate it. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. Claire, any parting words? Are you good or no?
Nice.
Just waving. All right. Miss you guys too. To everyone in Iowa at Tipping Point and the rest of the Iowa affiliates. Hope you guys are watching too. Hope you guys had fun watching as well too, guys. And you guys take care. I will see you guys soon. For everyone else, guys, thanks for tuning in. And we're going to stop this recording in 3, 2, 1.